Hello, good evening to everyone, and welcome to the first live event for Dr. Karen Presents. And I am Dr. Karen, and I'm so glad all of you are here with us today. I want to welcome all of our visitors from all across the country, and even at this point, across the world. I have a wonderful program that we're presenting tonight, and we're so excited that we had this opportunity to do this tonight live. So we're going to be talking today to some wonderful professional people in the area of martial arts, in the area of boxing, combat sports, and even some health and wellness. It is important for me as a professional counselor and coach to bring information to people that's going to help you understand how to live better and being your second chance, because this is a second chance show. So I want to just first of all welcome all my guests, and I want to start off with saying hello to Coach Akio Miller, to Jason Fischer, to Bryce Truby, to Kristoffer Truby, Kristoffer Donald, who his name sounds familiar to me. I believe Marcus is here on, and I cannot see him, but I believe he's on here, and I did talk to him. And Marcus is a professional boxer, and you'll be hearing from him. And we're going to just have a good time. Rocco, I'm getting ready to do that. I'm getting ready to introduce someone who my co-producer is helping me in the background. She thought I forgot him, but of course I did not. So the first person I want to bring in tonight is real important to me to, first of all, say this to you. Meeting this gentleman was not by chance, it was definitely by prayer. My son, at the age of 16, decided that he wanted to go into martial arts. And as a parenting coach, but at that time, as a single parent, it's always been important for me to make sure that I am guiding my children and my family to the best of my ability. And you all may know that everyone always says that martial arts is, so criminal, and it is a cult and all this crazy stuff was going on, especially at that time. So now he is double that age, just about a little bit older. But during my search, I searched out a lot of schools, and I wanted to find the best place to have him be able to go. And we actually searched around, and I don't know if his trainer knows this, but we searched around to different schools, and I had to make sure that I walked into the right place where I knew my son would be safe and I knew he would learn things. We walked into that place, and it was such a calm, wonderful spirit. It was just the men that were there were just so wonderful, and the trainer sat and spoke with us, gave all of his information, who is now, of course, Chris's grandmaster. And I just want to take some time just to introduce him. Rocco Ambrose is a man who is an inheritor and grandmaster of the Wing Chun Do Kung Fu system, as well as owner and chief instructor at Ambrose Academy of Wing Chun Do in Livonia, Michigan. Recognized as one of the premier martial art academies in America. I want to introduce to you and everybody in the country and soon around the world, and he's already known around the world, Mr. Rocco Ambrose. Good evening. Mr. Ambrose, are you there?
Yeah, I was sorry about that. Once again, thank you for putting this together. It's going to be fun.
Yes, no problem at all.
I appreciate the kind words in your introduction.
Yes, well, it was real important, and I don't know if you remember that or knew that, but I actually had taken him around to quite a few other schools, and I wanted to make sure he was in a safe place.
Yeah.
And when we got to you, we said, this is it. So tell me, you have had so much experience. One thing that we want to show through this series, and I didn't get a chance to say it at the beginning necessarily, is it's real important for people to understand the mental and emotional and physical health of being a part of all these sports. So everybody we've invited here tonight is giving that great information. So for you, how long, I know how long that you have been doing this, but what other martial arts have you actually done before this?
I looked at a lot of things, some Taekwondo, Muay Tang Sudo, um, little Ishinru, and then I spent a little more time in Southern Shaolin, and that's where I began to have an appreciation for the Chinese arts over the Korean arts that I had learned to that point.
Okay, great. I know you have a lot of experience in it. What is your experience that you can say if you wanted to add something about how this art is really helpful to people, to a person's mental or emotional well-being?
Well, both intellectually and physically, our art is based on relaxation, the art of relaxing yourself so that you can become more responsive, faster, and then therefore deliver more power. So everything that we do is geared toward helping you relax and concentrate better. All of our drills are designed to build in a very incremental way an ever expanding concentration level. And so then, as you begin to succeed in the art, you become more confident. It changes how you think about yourself, right? And
Mhm.
the thing is, when you come to our school, everyone comes and shakes your hand and introduces themselves, and you become instantly part of the family. Chris is shaking his head, nodding his head. But yeah, you know that.
Mhm.
Um, so we set people at ease right away, and then we help them to gain the confidence to train in a really directive way, so that we internalize the information as quickly as possible. And little by little, the student just becomes more and more confident. The training begins to accelerate. We have a great atmosphere, and part of that, like I said, is that family atmosphere. Because I
Yes.
know there was some talk about talking about bullying and how that sometimes can affect training in places. And I got
Mhm.
to say that I was in places. I've trained at places where when certain people came in the door to train, you wanted to go home. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I've trained in a place where you'd stick your head in the door and ask what kind of mood the instructor was in. So,
Wow.
and so you come to our school, you make friends right away, and we want to welcome you into the family. And
Yeah.
that helps everyone. You know what I'm saying? We've got lots of people who come in with PTSD, with having had bad experiences, and it's just such a wonderful gift to watch them grow. You know?
Oh, that's good. And I was going to ask you if you're able to notice changes. And I can attest that there is a family atmosphere there. That was one thing we felt when we first walked in. And ever since I've ever been around you and the other students and different people, it's always been the welcoming. It's always been that togetherness where people are not judging each other and everyone is learning. So you have seen students that have actually been able to build their self-esteem and also be able to change how they feel about themselves.
Absolutely. And they're unabashed about it. They come and tell you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They're proud to say that we changed them. And really that's not true. We just help them change themselves
Right,
because
right,
we
right.
I have no power to change anybody. I only have the power to help them find the strength to change themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. Do you have children's classes? You work with children?
Yes, we do. Right now, we're only working 7 and up.
Okay.
We did specialize for a long time pre-COVID on 4 to 6 year olds. My wife, who also is an instructor, is
Mm-hmm.
an expert in early childhood development.
Okay. Okay. So the children, what kind of effect are you seeing with them? Are they able to really jump in comfortably or? What are you seeing? How are they being emotionally, especially?
Well, a lot of times parents are bringing their children to an activity like this to
Mhm,
give them some focus and to give them a safe place, like you said, a safe place to
mhm,
be.
mhm.
Um, and a lot of times it's because they have phobias or they have, different emotional problems, and
Right.
we help them to smooth that out. And again, how? By being accepting, by understanding it, by talking to them candidly about it, right?
Hmm.
And explaining to
Yes.
them that it's not an aberration. Everybody has
Okay.
their problems. And if
Okay.
we all work together and encourage one another, we can help to solve those. Or at
Yes.
least at
Hmm.
least to make them a little better.
Yes. Well, that's wonderful. And a lot of people would not have any idea. You've inherited the system, the Wing Chun Do system, and it has evolved. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about this system? It is absolutely famous. I think it's famous because I grew up I grew up during the
I don't know about
everybody
that.
everybody running downtown to go see the movies, and tell us a little bit about its history and how it has evolved and how it was founded.
Okay, well, let's see. It goes back to Bruce Lee coming to America, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Bruce Lee being a movie star, child movie star in Hong Kong, and then getting in a lot of fights and generally getting in trouble with authority figures. His parents, when he turned 18, told him he should, he had to choose either British or American citizenship. And his parents told him, why not try America? So he came to America. And while he was here, he had not finished high school. So he was going to a makeup high school thing, Edison Technical School. And James DeMille had just gotten out of the Air Force, and he also had not finished high school. So they met each other in that setting. And
Okay.
then James DeMille became a student and trained with Bruce and they trained a lot. They trained like 5 days a week with Bruce, 4 or 5 hours a day, they said. And so out of those experiences, he created Wing Chun Do. But much later, Bruce Lee left uh, Seattle in '64 to go to Oakland and eventually to LA, right? And
Mhm.
Sijo had gone to Europe and then settled in Hawaii. And just after Bruce died, uh, he was living in Hawaii, and his wife told him he should get out and get some exercise. So he went down to the YMCA, and he was training, doing skipping rope and riding bike and whatever. And
Mhm.
they started doing some shadow boxing stuff that they did with Bruce, and people would come around and say, "What is that?" And when he
Mhm.
told them that it was from Bruce Lee, it was like an instant stardom because Bruce had just died, and Enter the Dragon was the biggest thing in the box office at the time. So
Okay.
he said in a month he had 60 students uh, come to the YMCA and to train with him, and he didn't have anything to teach him really, because he said he literally hadn't thought about martial arts in 10 years. So he sat down and took him about 2 to 3 years to write a set of books and actually codify those experiences with Bruce into a teachable format. So
Mhm.
then that was back in the mid to late 70s. I got in late 81, and I was a student of a very early instructor of James DeMille. And then I became his direct student in 85. And I was with him till he passed a few years ago, about 38.
Mhm. Mhm. And everybody
So,
looking, that's his picture behind
oh yeah, yeah,
Rocco
yeah,
there. There's his
in the
picture
peacock
on the
chair. Yeah.
mantle. Yeah.
But yeah, so he always said that the system should always continue to evolve, and that's what I've tried to do to make it more and more accessible to everyone. Because his vision of the system was that it should be practical for anyone, any size, any age, any gender, any
Mhm.
I'm saying physical condition.
Mhm.
And so that's what I've spent my life, my Wing Chun Do career doing, proving that anyone can access and use this art successfully.
That's great. You know, I said famous because we laugh all the time in my household, in my family, because all of my cousins would go downtown Detroit to see the Bruce Lee movies, and they would spend all their money and not be able to get back home. And it was so funny because my dad had to be the pickup person to get all my cousins back home. So that was good. And Bruce Lee, you know, he left an impact on anyone. Even still, you can watch the films and you hear about him and all that. So I want to bring in.
Wait, let me just tell you this.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I actually dragged Miss Liz on buses to the Fox Theater on Saturdays to watch those Kung Fu movies.
Yep. Fox Theater. The Fox Theater was the place. And I think the Palm. So, okay, we're going back too far and I'm not telling my age. So there we go. Okay. I want to bring in Bryce. I want to talk about, because you're a student now here. And so I'm bringing in Mr. Bryce Truby. Am I correct? Trudy. How are you? Good.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad you could come. So you are a student of Ambrose.
I am.
Correct?
I'm a student of Ambrose Academy, and
Wonderful.
I love it.
You love it? What do you love about it?
Like Rocco was saying, or as I know him, Seagung, it truly is a family environment. You walk in there and you see people that are 5 years younger than you to 40 years older than you. Everybody's so welcoming. They shake your hand. They want to meet you. You are never scared to make a mistake. And you just feel relaxed in there.
Okay.
You don't feel tense like you're walking into a war zone. You don't feel like you're getting thrown into a dogfight. And hopefully, Rocco could tell you that my relaxation has grown, and it's been definitely one of my biggest struggles since starting. Yeah.
Okay. And do you mind sharing what that struggle was?
I just meant more physically in the relaxation of it.
Yeah.
When I have trained in other athletics, like I played hockey my entire life, it has set me up to be very rigid. And when I've been practicing martial arts, also just because of the way my body is set up and the way my muscles work, after all that time of being in those athletics, they're tightly wound. And me and Kristoffer Donald have also been working to change those muscle fibers. But yeah, it's definitely a conscious effort to relax and to engage only the muscles that are necessary to be engaged to promote the most power.
Okay. And so you found that it has helped you. If a person was looking for something to say, this would help them physically, obviously, do you feel the help that came emotionally or mentally? Not to say you had any problems, but you can get into certain crafts or arts that actually helps you. And so like you said, the relaxing, are there different things that you can say for sure that you've seen changes with?
I can most definitely see changes. And I can't talk about the emotional change. I definitely struggle with depression. I believe that they don't have control of their emotions, aren't looking at it through the proper lens. And through martial arts, I've been able to no longer allow my emotions to control me, but for me to have the ability to choose which emotion I want to use depending on the situation.
Okay. And and I thank you for being honest, because that's really important, and that's what we're here to talk about. How these things can change our lives. And I know everyone that's coming on tonight has something great to add to that. So I do appreciate that. So I know that you said you've been playing hockey and you travel around the world. Tell the audience where you have lived and went to school. It's so exciting. to
Yeah,
me?
sure. So I lived here in Michigan up until fifth grade, and then in sixth grade I moved over to Germany, and I was there for 3 years, and that's where I met Tim Kelly, who you guys will talk to later.
Mm-hmm.
For my freshman year of high school, I was in Shanghai, China, um, and then moved back here for my last 3 years of high school. Decided that I wanted to pursue hockey a little bit further and moved out to Colorado for a year, and then decided I wanted to hang up the skates and pursue art. So I go to art school here in Detroit now, but I couldn't get rid of that competitive and athletic side of myself. So
Right.
I wondered, what am I gonna do to fill that gap now? And I remember specifically, there's a MMA fighter in the UFC. His name's Sean O'Malley, and I saw the confidence and the creative freedom that this guy had, and I just thought that is something that I want to hop into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so I was looking for weeks for a good place to go, calling places. I remember there was one place that was really set on going, and I called them and I asked them what times where their training is going to be at. And the guy was like, just check the effing website, man. Like, okay, I don't know if this is the right place for me.
Right.
And my dad was really serious with me that he wanted me to go and check out this one trainer, Kristoffer Donald. Um, and I was like, I don't know, Dad, I'm looking for a class. I'm looking to be a part of a community where I kind of wanted that dogfight. I kind of wanted to be thrown in the ring with somebody, and I wanted to jump straight into that environment. But my dad was like, look, just give it a shot. And if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. Um, but it definitely was for me. And I've been there for 2.5, 3 years now, and it has been the biggest blessing of my life.
Very good. That's good. That Kristoffer Donald,
Good guy.
I know him. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. So and everybody here. So thank you so much, Bryce. And I do apologize if I pronounced your last name wrong. I'm
That's
just
okay.
I'm watching stuff, looking at things and everything. But I thank you so much for being here. And I want to have Rocco just for one moment. Bryce, do you have any social media or anything that you would like to give as a contact of anyone that may want to talk to you? Or
Sure. My
okay,
Instagram is bryce.truby. So you could contact me there through direct message.
okay, sounds good. Bryce.Truby on Instagram. Thank you, sir, so much. And so, Rocco, I just want to just thank you again for being a part of this special. You're a very special person, of course, to my family, and I really appreciate everything you've done. So how would like people to contact you or give your website of how people can contact you
Yeah,
and
well,
see different information about the school?
they can contact and go to the website, which is www.ambroseacademy.com.
Mhm.
You can email me directly at wingchundo@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, Ambrose Academy, so you can find us.
Great. Well, you know what? I appreciate you so much, and Bryce, for being a part of this opening segment. And we are going to move on from here. First, we have a special presentation about Ambrose Academy. Thank you so much again, Rocco and Bryce, for being on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Everyone deserves self-defense. Everyone deserves to have a product that they can use, right? This system can deliver that promise. I can teach a 110-pound woman to use Wing Chun Do just as effectively as a 250-pound man.
That's powerful.
Yeah, I'm unabashed about it because I can show you a couple of the women that I've trained to black sash, and they are remarkable in their performance.
Is there anything you tell students the first time they come in here about Wing Chun Do that really gets their attention?
I show them just a few demonstrations of the amount of power they can generate themselves, even now without very much knowledge. And that usually sells people. You squeeze it. Don't squeeze. Don't pronate at all. Keep this palm down and just relax and just bring your elbow here. Think of it, this is just a grappling hook with a rope attached to this level. A lot of people come in and, well, I'm small and, I don't know, I'm kind of timid, I'm not that aggressive. It's like, well, you don't have to be. We're going to give you techniques which will help you get by the concept that you're small, because you're not small. I don't care who you are. And aggression is a thing that can be learned with the right drills and nurturing, and with an eye toward their confidence, right? We're all about trying to improve people's confidence. The more confident you are, the more diligently you train, the more confidently you train in your material. That's what we're all about, trying to increase people's self-image and confidence. Right from the beginning, we give you those elements that we know are going to save your life on the street.
Is that something Cijo had in mind when he created this?
Absolutely, absolutely. He's the one who created the curriculum, and right from the beginning, he determined to give you the practical tools for street self-defense right from the beginning. Then, like I said, all the drills and things that come after are the things that make you better at applying those techniques.
Would you say Wing Chun Do is for everyone?
Without a doubt. I mean, that's what Cijo always said. Regardless of age, size, or physical condition, you should be able to make these techniques work. Because once again, they're based on natural human biomechanics.
So how long have you been teaching Wing Chun Do?
Since 1988. I've never stopped. I've had the longest continuously running school in the history of the style. I believe I have an inner dedication to helping people grow. And so I have continuously evolved my ability to bring this information to people on a personal basis. I try to find a way to make everything I teach personally important to the individual so that they will want to learn it.
Welcome back. Second Chance Living with Dr. Karen. And of course, I'm Dr. Karen. We have had a wonderful show so far, and we are really getting into it some more. We appreciate everybody watching us all across the country and the world, and we are continuing to have a wonderful time. I have some wonderful guests with me tonight that are expressing different areas of wellness and combat sports, martial arts, and boxing, and getting and helping people with an understanding of how these different areas can affect your mental, emotional, physical health. And we even talked about a little bit of bullying when it was brought to my attention. Someone brought this to my attention and said that a lot of people have experienced bullying in the gyms. And it's very important to even look at that, because you want to get into a hobby or a sport or an art and not feel like you're being challenged. And in our first half, we had two speakers. We had Rocco Ambrose for Ambrose Academy, and we had Bryce, who talked about how different people were built up, self-esteem, how mental health was better. And even Rocco talked about when he was younger, how he would walk into a gym and they would wonder, who is the instructor before you get there? And most people can say they've had some kind of experience with bullying or just feeling intimidated, especially if you're unsure about your surroundings. So moving forward now into another place, I have a young man that is literally coming on from across the world. He's going to tell us where he is, and he is a part of the mixed martial arts and combat sports arena, and his name is Tim Kelly. How are you, Tim? Good, good. So glad for you to be here. We heard about you in the beginning, that you were introduced, that Bryce met you in Germany, correct?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And I know you've been in Detroit and you visited. Where are you now?
I'm in Thailand right now, but yeah, I was lucky enough to be in Detroit last summer, and I got the chance to train at both Jason and Rocco's gym while I was there, and
Wonderful.
of course in Kristoffer's gym too.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is really good that you had that opportunity. So tell us about your experience in martial arts and the areas that you're in as far as combat sports.
The very first one I did was judo when I was a kid, but it was never something that I was in love with or passionate about outside of practice. It was more something that I felt like I had to do because I was put into it as a kid, and that's just what I did.
Mhm,
And for the first time, for the first time when I was 15 and I got into boxing was when I had my own sport that I actually wanted to do outside of practice. So before, not just if it was sports, but also school, I had this feeling of always just having to do, going along with what was set in front of me rather than choosing myself what I actually wanted to be doing with my time. So
mhm,
yeah, boxing was the first feeling of, wow, I'm dedicating something my own time
mhm,
without being forced into doing this. So yeah, boxing, and then when I went off to university, I switched into kickboxing, and there I met a great coach, Andre Mewes, over in Berlin, and he specializes in Pencak Silat, which is a Asian martial art where it's all about to the body kicks and punches to the body and trips. It's very common in Malaysia and Singapore. So yeah, he was a massive help when it came to transitioning from boxing into kickboxing,
mhm.
and then now I'm learning MMA.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, when we first had a chance to talk, you were telling me that you had experienced or seen some things in different gyms and different places that may affect someone emotionally or physically, even mentally. Do you have any stories that you could think of offhand or that you could share with people about different experiences you had?
Honestly, now that I can only think of when I was in judo actually. So there, but maybe it was because of this feeling of not wanting to be there that when a coach would slam you to show how it's done, that yeah, for a kid this wasn't if you already don't want to be there and then you're
Mhm,
getting slammed, for example. I mean, everyone is normal in judo, so I wouldn't say that I have exact experience in that, but I think if you love the sport, if you love boxing, then you're going to be okay with hard sparring or uh, a competitive group. Um,
mhm,
Whereas if you don't feel that passion for it, then it's just going to be a pressure and a worry and so on. And it's good to have some kind of pressure and worry during sparring because we're trying to simulate an actual fight. So it's not a bad thing to feel nerves before sparring. But yeah, if you're someone who doesn't actually want to be there and you're just going along with what you should do rather than what you want to do, and then you're getting uh, hurt, then that's going to mentally make you not want to go and just create a cycle of you going without actually learning, I would say.
yeah, sure. And I'm listening to you say, if you don't want to be there and you're made to be there, was that something that was required of you being a part of this sport for a while?
When I was doing judo, a little bit just because I had done a couple of sports as a kid, but never really loved one.
Mhm.
And judo was just one of those things that I had to try. I think I did it for 2 or 3 years. I forget what belt I had in the end, but yeah, it was not a love of mine. Not like striking and now MMA. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I want to ask, and someone else may be able to even come in with Tim on this question. I have worked with I played sports a lot when I was in high school, and I have worked with people now that they have people that are training with them. They're coaches, they have people that's training with them that is sitting and really expressing to them how much abuse they're having or they're going through, or how things are going on. People trust their coaches so much to just kind of spill information. What would you say, Tim? I'll start with you first. If you had someone in a group and they were expressing to you and you felt that they had been abused, or you felt like, and the abuse could be any sort. It could be that they were being verbally abused or physically abused. We have a lot of unfortunate things that happen where people have found themselves in situations that were not very well. And I want to say sexually abused, and I apologize for anyone that this could disturb that's watching. But it's a big deal, and a lot of people show it when they're in sports. Locker room bullying, locker room abuse. What would you do, Tim, if you had someone come to you and tell you they needed help?
Simply, if you really want to be going there, because I think if you have a coach who's abusing you in any way, then it's very tough to say to a coach, hey, you know, I think it's very tough to get around that. Then you're probably just at the wrong gym. But if it's a fellow student, then I would say if you cannot solve it with him or her, talking to that person one-on-one, then you should involve a coach. And
Mhm.
if that doesn't work, I'm not sure. Then, yeah, as I said, then you're probably in the wrong gym. If it's something that the coach cannot fix and you yourself cannot fix by talking to this person one-on-one,
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, I say, Rocco, I want to ask you that question because we're introducing other people on, and I want to ask them the question. What would you do if someone came to you and they were having this difficulty, especially, say, a younger person, or even a young lady or man, and they confidentially were speaking to you, because it happens all the time. I could believe it because this has happened to me. So I could believe it. But I had a friend that was a coach of a college basketball team, and he wanted me to come speak to the women because so many of them have been abused. Have you ever had anyone come to you with this going on?
Well, we offer women's self-defense courses, right? So
Mhm.
we've spoken to and trained many women who've been through traumatic experiences.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've spoken with a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But what would I if you're talking? What would I do if it was?
Well,
And you're not at this time. You're not talking about something that was happening within the school.
no, not necessarily.
I
I'm
want to
talking
make
about people trusting you enough to tell you while they're at the school that
right.
something is happening. And like you said, you do self-defense, so you've heard it. But just in confidentiality, what if someone came to you?
Yeah, one of my students.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would advise them to do what they have to do legally first. The first thing you got to do, if you're having uh, trouble with a boyfriend or whatever, you got to get that PPO on there, right away, because then you can take, then you can get people to intercede for you, right?
Right, right.
Because uh, depending on the intimacy of the situation, you got to separate yourself from it if you can.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? And let me say this, guys, because I am the woman on this panel. And obviously this question, if anyone knows me or who knows me, I work with men and women. And so the question is not saying only men abuse people, only women. There's people that's been abused by mothers, fathers, sisters, brother, it's all in there. But I just wanted to put that question out there because, this guy called me. He was very upset about the women and their being able to be productive because they were so upset. So I appreciate you all for answering this question. Tim, I know that you are in another part of the world. I don't know what time it is there now, but I don't want to have you have to be on here too long. How can someone contact you? Do you have a social media, or how would you like someone to be able to watch what you're doing?
Yeah, my Instagram is tkelly Kraken, Kraken. It's a nickname my coach gave me because I got long
Okay.
in it.
So I'm gonna have you repeat that.
It's a nickname my coach gave me because I have very long limbs and I fight
Okay.
at distance. That's why I Kraken.
Okay. Okay. So it's T.
T Kelly, my name
Okay.
T Kelly Kraken.
And that's spelled K.
Kraken.
Got it. Okay. Well, Tim, thank you so much for being with us. I know you have to rest. You can definitely, if you have to sign off, please do. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And I cannot wait to meet you personally next time you come back, or either we come to Germany. Listen, we can come to Germany and visit you, and that's fine. So, okay. So thank you. So
Thank you.
we're getting ready to move on to a gentleman who is a coach out of Detroit. And what we're going to do is look at a quick promo first.
My name is Akio Miller, or Coach Akio Miller. I've been at Jab's Gym for the last 4 years since we've been open. For me, coming to Jab's, I would tell people it makes it different here is the fact that it's almost like a family environment. It's more like a team. I mean, I can't talk about other gyms, but I know other gyms is more like it's just a job, or just like the trainers, it's just a work. Here, you get to know the trainers. They're going to give you more time. You're going to get more experience. Like, you're going to learn the little stuff that they don't teach everybody. That's why I think people like coming here.
So now we're going to introduce the next gentleman of the floor, who I found to be called, my son calls him the most famous coach in America, because he couldn't give me a title. Akio could give me a title. So I want to introduce to everyone, Coach Akio Miller. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And I know we've been on for a while. I just really, we've had such good conversations about different things, which you've heard. So first, tell me about your experience in boxing. And I know I'm going to hear something later that was really quite interesting. But tell me about your experience in boxing and what you've seen and what's going on with you now.
My name is Coach Akio Miller. I'm from Pontiac, Michigan. I started boxing probably in my early 20s by accident. It wasn't planned. I had a cousin who was going through some things, and we decided to go to a gym. Long story short, I ended up there by myself one day with some other guys. He threw me in the ring, ended up fighting, wasn't planning on it. Next thing you know, I'm in a Golden Gloves tournament 1 year, which kind of, it just kept going. And eventually I got to the point where I'm at now with my current coach, because I was ready to fight again for the Golden Gloves. I did the novice. I was getting prepared to fight open class the following year. But I started working. So he took me under his wing, because he's like, there's no way you keep fighting and working and traveling all at the same time. So he took me under his wing to teach me everything that he knows. Because like he says, I can't take all his knowledge with me, so somebody's got to have it. So he's been, and if I didn't mention his name, it's Coach Greg Coverson. So Candyman Coverson, I call him, so they call him. So Too Sweet Candyman Coverson. I've been training him for the last 12 years now.
Okay. Okay, good. You know what? We had a friend when we was growing up. We had a friend called Too Sweet, and it was just the most funniest thing. Everybody wanted to call them because they had that nickname, So I've seen that you're admired by so many people. as a coach for someone who did not necessarily want to do this. So how did you end up, what is the concept behind your coaching style?
My biggest thing, I know a lot of people when it comes to boxing is it's a sport, it's entertainment. I've always looked at it similar to a martial art. Like it's so much more to it. It's
Okay.
such a thinking person's game that it's deeper than just putting gloves on, waiting for the bell to ring to me.
And you're being able to affect people. I understand that you have a lot of people tell me, I've heard before I even met you, I heard about you all the time from the Golden Gloves and different places, and your spirit, your personality. You know, a lot of people, just like what we're talking about here, they're not fortunate to have a coach in their life that seems like they really care for them. And I see that that's something that I'm hearing a lot about you. Now, you have women boxers, correct?
Yes, some of my best fighters have been women.
Of course. I mean, what would you think?
I tell people all the time, I'd rather train with women.
We have to learn how to fight. When you have brothers, you have cousins, you grow up learning how to fight. So that's good. That's good. So how many fighters do you have now that are now champion fighters or going pro?
Right now I'm working with Marcus Wilson, who will be on this call shortly. I'm assuming. Been working with him for some years now. I have another young lady. She just started training with me, Trinity Funk. She started at the University of Michigan. She started training me about a year now, and we've had really good competitive fights recently.
Okay, good. That's great. I know I saw some information about some of the women that you were training and different people. And you mentioned Marcus. I'm gonna bring Marcus in now, and I see you down there trying to hide. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. He is the most polite. Let me tell you, this man is so polite. I send him messages, and he always says, "Yes, ma'am."
Hey, look,
Yes,
man.
ma'am. So that's good. See, that's what I said. But I really appreciate it. So tell me about your work with Coach Akio and how it has changed you and you've grown.
I don't know if this call is long enough to truly get that man his flowers. I actually started with Akio before I started training with the coach he mentioned with Candyman. I started with Akio. I was 18, turning 19. I was fresh off of basketball, and I was fresh off of graduation. I always had a temper, always had an attitude, but when I got with Akio, even since then, we just clicked. He just always understood me. He always listened to me. He always gave me a voice. He always just put things in a perspective where I could understand it. Like I don't come from a lot of communicators in my family when it comes to men or even women. So I didn't grow up with a lot of men that knew how to communicate. I grew up with a lot of men that knew how to, through harsh words or through harsh actions, express themselves. So ever since I met Akio always been able to be verbally give me a voice, but also tell me what he wants. Like I've been trained by two coaches, two top level coaches, Coach Greg Coverson and Coach Mo down in Dearborn. But Akio just knows how to get to you, and Akio knows how to get the best out of me. Akio's know how to get my best potential. I get it with Akio. Like it's people who Craig Coverson, there's people who will be like, Marcus, go do this. And I look at them like, but then when Akio tell me, I'm doing it. Like it's just, I'd had Coach Mo in fights or even in sparring. I'm sparring top level guys, former Olympians. I wouldn't be doing something right. And then when Coach Akio there, immediately when I come back to the corner, I look what Akio got to say. Then when Akio tell me like, no, son, you gotta pump the jab, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. I'm like, all right, cool. It don't matter who else in that corner. If Akio tell me to do it, I'm gonna go do it, and I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. Akio truly, it's truly not enough to really say just how great of a coach Akio is and how great of a person he is. This is one of the few times I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you these much flowers, but he truly is an amazing coach. He truly is an amazing person. He's changing me as a man. He's changing me as a spiritual man. He's changing me as a fighter. This is honestly the best I ever looked, and this is because I'm with who I should have always been with. So just to wrap it up, I think Akio, not just me, I'm just the first that he's able to express himself and really express his knowledge with and really show just how much of a great coach he is. But after me, Akio's going to change a lot of young kids' lives. He's going to change a lot of pro lives. His IQ is out of this world. He studies, he listens. He's not one of those coaches who he just makes you have one style and stick with it. No, he's the epitome of hit, not get hit. He'll get rough and rugged with you. He will take your style and what you come in with. If you're a boxer, if you're a mover, if you're a wrestler, if you're somebody that's strong, he will take that, enhance it, and then tell you something new. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's respectable, but he's also no nonsense. He'll pull up on you at 5 or 6 in the morning, tell you to go run, and you just got to go do it. Akio truly is. I think Akio will go down as one of the greatest coaches out of Michigan. He will go down as one of the greatest coaches in the world to me. I love Akio. I can never get another coach like him, to be honest.
Well, that's really special. That's really special, Mr. Miller. So, yeah, he said he gave you your flowers today. So how does that make you feel? Did you know that you had this kind of impact on him, and I'm sure other people, because I've heard about you and how you affect other people. How do you feel about that?
It makes me feel really good. I'm trying to choose Mark them say I'm too humble at times, but it really does feel good. I'm lost for words. I appreciate it a lot. I mean, it's truly a blessing. I mean, I do this for the fighters, like I tell people all the time. I believe you and I had a conversation too when we were trying to get some things together, and I was like, I don't really have anything of myself. Like I try to put the young men, young women I'm working with it out first. Like I don't need to be they're the ones, they're the talent, they're the people. So I appreciate everything everybody says about me.
Yeah. But like you said, that he feels that you're the greatest coach in Michigan. And I had already heard that you're the greatest coach in the world and the nation. And people that don't even fight are telling me you're the most wonderful person. So that is something right there that's everybody here that have spoken, even thus far, you all have a blessing that is really good, it's rare, and you're able to touch other people. And that's what's important about everything we do. We all have to remember that there is a purpose to everything that we do and understand what it is. So you as a coach, I can say that you have a purpose to help people, and you're helping, like Marcus, you're helping other people. Now you work also with children, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I know you told me you haven't done a lot since COVID, but what are some of the programs you had working with children?
I've done a program. Actually, myself and one of my young ladies. She's a family member now. She's actually married to Jess Brown. We did an event a couple years ago with Detroit Pistons. I believe it's called Pistons Fit. Where we went out there. We did a whole boxing segment. Taught them how to punch, jump rope. I try to teach them the mental aspect of boxing, because a lot of people think of boxing as just like, we just trying to knock each other's heads off, which we're trying to knock each other's heads off, but why you do it? Like it's more to it than just trying to hurt the next person. Like it's so much mental to it.
Right.
I've worked with a lot of young children, which I tell people, I love watching like the young kids fight. When I mean young, I mean like 5 and 6. They're like little Tasmanian devils when they're in the ring. It's the funnest thing.
Yeah, but that's good. I mean, and even what Marcus said, I want you to think about that later, because you might have heard it before, but I really want you to think about it, because he gave you words that said he respected you as a major person in his life. And as you're meeting children, all of you, as you're meeting children, as you're meeting people that's coming into your life, you have to always remember that you don't know why. And you have to carry yourself all the time. Like, okay, every day you have to say, okay, let me walk in my purpose today. Let me be the person that I am supposed to be today. And because you never know who you're touching, everybody is touching a Bryce, a Tim, a Marcus, a Chris, a Akio. Somebody touched you, a Jason, a Rocco. Everybody is touching somebody else's life, and it's very important. So you know what? I really appreciate you being here, Coach Akio Miller, the best coach in the whole wide world. I thank you, Marcus, for being on with us this evening. And what we're going to do now is get ready to take a good break before I bring in our next wonderful MMA fighter. We're going to check out a wonderful promo with Coach Akio and Marcus. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So tell us, man, for the people out there, what made you get into boxing, man?
Honest truth, I got into boxing on accident, man.
You did?
Yeah. I was helping a family member out through a hard time, and we decided to go to a boxing gym, and he went for a while, I stayed. Next thing you know, it's 15 years later. We supposed to just go lift weights and work out, and it turned to a whole other career. So yeah, it wasn't on purpose.
So what made you choose Greg Cupperson's gym?
I guess that's another one. I kind of fell into his lap. I was training a couple different gyms. I started out in, I believe it was like Warren area or Macomb.
Mm-hmm.
Bounced around a couple different gyms, and I went up to Bad Boy. And I went there with my buddy Ice. Big shout out to Big Ice. I met him first day I worked with him. About 30 minutes in, he was like, "Nah, I can't work with you, man. You got to go talk to Greg." And he passed me on to Greg Cupperson, and I've been with him ever since.
Yeah, shout out to G, man.
How was it with him the first time?
With Greg?
Yeah.
Hard, but fun. Greg, I will say I love Greg to death. He's like another father, man. Not a lot of pad work. You know, he's not. He put me on that bag a whole lot.
Hey.
Whole lot.
And you know what? Speaking on that, Mike's counsel. Speaking on that, why do people want to? They seem like they want to just hit the pads all the time and hit the bag and spar. They never want to get on the floor.
Bro, me and him talk about this all the
and do
time.
repetitive, you know?
We talk about this all the time.
I feel like people think that, I don't know, man. I think it's a social media thing, man. They think pad work don't even equate to real boxing. They just don't. Like, they feel like, oh, if I do good on the pads and they get their head knocked off, then they mad at the coach. You know. That's
crazy, man. That's crazy.
I don't know. It looked good. Or they think it looked good. I mean, most times people doing pad work, I'm doing more work than the person, so I slow down on doing that myself unless I'm working on something specific.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Karen, and you are watching a live event, Second Chance Living with Dr. Karen, and we have been having wonderful conversations with some wonderful guys about their art and sports. We heard about martial arts, boxing, MMA, and I want to apologize and just go back to Coach Akio. Do you want to offer any information where someone can contact you or a social media platform?
_Miller. You can inbox me there.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Marcus, do you have a way you want someone to be able to contact you?
On Instagram, I'm next up _313. DM me, follow my career, and just see how far God take me and Akio and Chris and take everybody.
We're all going, huh? Good. Thank you guys so much. I do apologize. When we went to the break, I said, I need to get that information. So thank you. So right now I'm getting ready to bring someone that is a champion in the MMA world. and worldwide, and I am so happy to have you. Let's introduce tonight Jason Fischer. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing good, Dr. Karen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I know you're so busy and you're worldwide and you got a gym, you got all those belts, you got stuff to do. You're doing stuff. Tell-
I loved hearing from everybody, and that's one of the great things about martial arts is you get people from all different backgrounds, blue collar, white collar. You get lawyers, doctors,
yeah,
criminals, police officers, and they want to learn and grow. And martial arts is an incredible way to bring those people together and share a common ground.
absolutely, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your career and where you are now before I get into some of your questions.
Well, I was pretty active growing up, played a lot of sports. I was a hockey player as well. Bryce and Chris and Tim all have been to my gym before, and awesome guys. And Chris asked me to do this. I was pretty pumped. I haven't really sat down and talked about martial arts in a while, and in this kind of setting. So it's an exciting. It's done nothing but good things for my life. I was a wrestler in high school, and after that, I just wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn how to protect myself, how to grow. I was very much of a follower of Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, all these guys that were, athletes and martial artists. And it just kind of, it fed my fuel. I started training, after high school. I started training in Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu. So my goal was to compete. I really wanted to compete again. I missed the competition. So that was what I wanted to do. I became a personal trainer. I wanted to focus on, bettering my health, staying focused on something and turning that into something productive. And I think that martial arts was a really good avenue for that for me. And like I said, I attribute everything, all my success to not only, my coaches and people that I've been with, but my training partners as well, even my family, who were originally against me competing and fighting, and now they back me 100%. And I'm just very lucky now, getting a little older, kind of shifted into the coaching aspect of it. And
Yeah.
I love every aspect of it.
Yeah. So how the things that you've seen, and I know now you're a coach, how have you seen things that have affected the way that you decided you wanted to coach? When you were not a coach, were there things that you saw? When we're in management or we're leaders, the one thing we do is we either say we're going to do it that way or we're not going to do it that way. And I would say specifically, what affected the way you coach, and how do you work with people with their mental health and even self-esteem?
It's very important to, as a coach or an instructor, there's a lot of responsibility that falls upon your shoulders when you're being trusted to influence an individual, especially when you're teaching them how to be essentially violent or how to protect themselves, because everybody goes into the gym for their own reason, whether it's to learn how to learn something new, maybe to get into shape, maybe to gain confidence, to learn how to protect themselves. So when they trust you with their livelihood, that's a big thing. And I want to be able to give them my best. I want to give them the best information I can. And I think that kind of came along to my discipline and my coaching as well. Like when I learned and sought out as many of the best coaches that I could to be influencing me. And I hope and think that I do a good job of kind of regurgitating that to my students now. And yeah. But as far as like mental health too, like I've had days where it's just like you think it's another day at the gym. You go through your training, you go through your class, and then somebody pulls you aside and tells you, hey, I got this thing that's going on with me. And, I've had it happen multiple times, with kids, with adults, women, men. And you don't have to necessarily, you don't only have to be a good coach with martial arts, but you have to be a role model as well, and give these younger people or anybody that has trauma or any type of issues going on. You have to give them, at least a fair shake and good information into how you think you can help them in that situation. And
Yeah.
I think the gym atmosphere really can allow people to express themselves. It should be a place you can feel safe. There is a lot, you hear, not a lot, but you hear that there could be issues internally within a gym. And that's something that needs to be taken care of immediately. Like these guys said, if there's an issue between students, then the coaches need to be involved. If there's an issue within a coach, you either have to tell another coach or you have to, get the authorities involved, because there's no place for that in martial arts or anything for that
Yeah,
matter.
anything, yeah. And like you said, it's no place in martial arts, but of course you're there, and people tend to always want to kind of pour into you or on you, meaning when they trust you. And that's very important. And in a lot of cases, unfortunately, it has been dangerous because you have coaches that children trust, and it's not really a safe space. So I can appreciate all of you all being people who are honest and talking and working with people. So you do work with children, correct?
Yep, I work with kids as young as 4 and 5 years old, all the way up to there's no limit really to the
Okay.
age that you can train martial arts.
Okay, great. When we see MMA, just on television and sitting watching things, my son disturbed me when I went to go see him fight one of those things. And I kept having to leave. We were like around the ring and I kept having to leave. My daughter was like, Mom, come back. I can do it. She was screaming up at the ring, go, go, go. I'm leaving. I'm saying, leave my baby alone. I'm screaming and everything, but it could be very violent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
can be very violent.
like I said, my parents were kind of against it when I first started to do it, and especially my mom. She used to. I remember she would tell me she would watch my fights from like the room away. She's like, I knew it was you, but I didn't want to see you in there.
Yes,
So like, she supports me, but
yes,
yeah, she doesn't want to watch it. It's very violent, at times,
yes.
and she doesn't want to see her son get hurt, but she knew how much time and energy that I put into it and the dedication and commitment that I had to it. So,
Mhm,
I do.
mhm.
I'm very happy that they ended up supporting me throughout this, and and I'm very happy with how my career went, and now I'm extremely excited and humbled by my experiences and being able to share my knowledge with others now.
Yep. And and like I understand the want to look at it from another room. That's fine. And I'm going, okay, I know that's him. I heard his name called. I heard everything, but it's just difficult when you love someone, but we try to support everybody. Let's talk about brain health because I know that it can be really rough, and we're going to go into a little bit of that also with Kristoffer. But what do you see, or how do you promote um, good brain health and injury prevention?
I think that's very important, especially if you decide to compete. You can go into any gym and learn martial arts, I believe, and not get hurt, not get injured. Accidents happen, of course, but if you have the
Mhm.
correct training and the correct, training partners, then you shouldn't be getting injured. You shouldn't be getting hurt. Now, when you decide to compete, that's a different story. It's not like we're dropping in to play a game of basketball or hopping on the soccer field. Your life is
Mhm.
on the line, whether you're a professional or an amateur, or even in a sparring session, which I've seen get out of hand, and people can get hurt, and like I said, accidents do happen, but if you train smart and you train right, you can have longevity in the sport. I've been
Mhm.
lucky enough to not really have too many injuries. I've gone through my fair share, but and I've had concussions before in the sport. I think when something like that happens, you really need to take a step back. That not necessarily like an ego check, which in martial arts is a big deal, with training, with teaching, with sparring, with fighting. You have to really take that in consideration, and then if and when something does happen like that, you need to go through the right protocol with your doctor and make sure you're cleared to fight, or permanent damage can be done. Everybody has an internal clock per se, well, how much damage their body can take, especially their brain. So
Yeah.
It's something that you definitely need to stay, aware of and focus. And if there's anything like that would be concerning, I think it's something that you should definitely get looked at by a professional.
And you hear so much about it now with the different things going on with the NFL and different places and brain health and everything. Like you said, is very important. I think a person has to understand if they're not honest with themselves, nobody's going to stop them. And we know that people have passed away, unfortunately, or just became almost a vegetable because they didn't take care of themselves. So that's very important. So tell us just a few places that you have gone and that you have fought. I understand that you have had worldwide spectacucular career.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to being able to use martial arts as a way to travel and not only compete, but also I corner a lot of other fighters as well. I've been all over the U.S. competing and cornering. I've gone overseas. I've fought in Italy, Romania. I've been to Japan a couple times, and just being able to use this type of platform to travel and get more experience. That's what it's about, is gaining the experience and meeting the people. Like anytime I go on vacation anywhere, I usually try to find a place where I can go train. I'll do some research and see a gym that might be close, or if there's multiple gyms, I try to find which one might fit best for me. And that when you do that, even when you walk in, like even myself as a professional fighter, when I walk into a gym, I'm a little nervous. So I know how that could feel to somebody that maybe has never done something like this before. But you have to kind of go in with an open mind. But you have to be careful as well, because not everybody, especially at a gym you're visiting, is going to have your best interest in mind. They're gonna, that's their home. So you have to be very respectful. You have to check your ego. And usually I've had nothing but good experiences for the most part. There's always been a couple people or a couple different places that might, push you the wrong way, but you usually can figure that out pretty quick and make your best decision and say, this isn't for me. I'm going to find someplace else.
Right. But Jason, I thank you so much for being a part. I know that you had to get it together, and I'm so glad that you were able to get with us and be a part of it. And we have a spectacular production team. So he was able to take everything and do what he had to do. So tell me how a person can contact you or follow your career.
So right now, I also teach in Livonia. We're at a place called Commonwealth Jiu-Jitsu. It's the website's commonwealthjj.com. We have an open door policy, no drop-in fee. You can come and train and check us out anytime. We're very opening or welcoming, and our door's always open. You can follow me on Instagram at the Jayfish, TheJayFish. And yeah, anybody and everybody's welcome to come visit.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Fischer, for being a part of this. And all of you guys got to know that I'm going to be pulling back on you again. I might have to bring Tim here, but we need to you need to have you guys doing some speaking at schools and doing all kinds of things. But thank you so much, Jason, so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I want to bring in somebody that I know. He is my firstborn of my twins. He is a twin, and I'm going to give him an opportunity to talk about what he does, what's going on with him, and he's going to bring some information to us about being fit, brain health, all that. And this gentleman is Kristoffer Donald. Welcome, Kristoffer.
Hello, Dr. Karen.
Thank you. So glad that you could be here. So I love that just about everybody here that you had experience with, which is how we put this wonderful panel together,
Yeah.
So tell me about you and what you're doing and why this group of men are most important to you.
Well, personally, I've been in martial arts for years, as you know, since little child. My grandfather inspired me to get into martial arts at a very young age. It was just a part of my self-growth, part of the process of just self-knowledge and coming into a greater understanding of myself. So martial arts and combat sports is a major part of my life. throughout that process and through my athletic growth, that I encountered a lot of different challenges, just through trying to get better as a person, excuse me, trying to get better as a person, looking at different media outlets, trying to educate myself. I can honestly say that I developed a eating disorder. I developed very poor self-image as an athlete. And there's not a lot of athletes that I believe oftentimes are willing to admit that. And it was something that occurred very subtly. And I can confidently say when I got older, I realized what it was. Pardon me for one second.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you get some water for a second. And have you, I definitely want you to speak on that, because now Chris has mentored a lot of different young men because of this that he is speaking about now. So go on and continue, Chris, until finish what you were saying.
Yes, my throat was just cracking up. I wasn't crying. But so a lot of athletes probably would not admittedly say that, but trying to apply different sciences as far as being able to develop that competitive edge, coming up, playing football, playing different sports, having to compete. Jason can really vouch for this as far as having a wrestling background, Coach Akio, Bryce and Tim, and even Seagong and Marcus. Look, everyone can vouch for this, especially when it comes to sports that involve weight class. Sometimes we don't have a healthy perspective, of self-image, how to diet, proper nutrition, all of that. And in trying to do all these things very, very well, I noticed I was developing very poor nutritional habits. And so the first step to really changing that process was when I found Ambrose Academy, because oftentimes when we talk about human biomechanics, you're talking about power, you're talking about speed, you're talking about all these things. It's very easy for media to capture that image and really help you to build that perspective. When I came into Ambrose Academy, I immediately found out that being an effective martial artist is about being effective martial scientists and understanding proper human biomechanics to be able to generate power. And as Siegel and Rocco Ambrose said, being able to relax to generate speed. So these were things that did not center around a lot of the bravado that you would see on TV and a lot of the different toxic methods that are given as far as athleticism is concerned. So that gave me a very, very objective approach on athleticism.
Okay.
And then, yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
Oh, okay. And then from there, a few years later, I met my mentor, Anthony Moses, who I am in business with. I'm a partner with at AM Total Being Fitness, powered by the Moses Method. And he has over 40 years of experience in fitness. A bodybuilder, has won many professional bodybuilding shows, trained many athletes. So my encounter with Seagong, my encounter with Anthony really shifted my perspective as far as really understanding how to be healthy as an athlete and how to really grow as an individual in a healthy way. I started to get rid of a lot of those unhealthy habits associated with so-called healthy eating. As you know, Marcus, we've talked about many times, right? Trying to starve ourselves to beat the scale and, eating orange slices for 3 weeks. I I didn't have to do that stuff anymore. And I'm sure Jason knows how that is, when he got into personal training and started to increase his knowledge of nutrition. I'm sure that was a big help for him as an athlete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of teenagers I have found have eating disorders from trying to fit in and be a part of a group. and not be laughed at, not be talked about, or feeling like they're going to be rejected. Rejection is a big thing when it comes down to teenagers and sports. I counsel men now who are in their late 60s. I have one in particular that is still trying to overcome what a coach said to him, not did, said to him when he was in elementary school, told him he was too fat to be on a little league team in school. Now, really, is school athlete at a little child at third or fourth grade that important? But this man now is an adult and has raised children, and he has said that he has not had the full confidence. So, I know that you've had a lot of experience with different sports, but I want you to kind of tell us about some experiences you've had with teenagers and working with children, and how you've had to work with them through a lot of different things.
Absolutely. And I can take a step back just to kind of mention what I've been able to do at AM Total Being Fitness, powered by the Moses Method, because that is typically where I work with both adults and children. AM Total Being Fitness is AM is Anthony Moses, Total Being Fitness. So it is a wellness facility and fitness programming facility based on the foundation that true fitness is comprised of a balance between our spiritual, our emotional, our physical, our social, and intellectual selves. And we like to say that the Moses Method is the science of the total being, as it were. And the Moses Method is a patent pending, nationally recognized and supported fitness testing and programming system. The reason why that is important is I shared with my personal experience, objectivity and being very, very pragmatic when it comes to body composition, when it comes to health, I think is very, very important, because it helps us to kind of deconstruct a lot of the different emotional images and stigmas that we have associated with our body and self-image. Mm-hmm. And so this has fed in a very healthy way into me being able to coach children and be able to coach even adults. I deal with a lot of adults that have poor body image, that have also developed different eating disorders in their fitness experience. And I'm able to give them hard data, personalized data that helps them to overcome a lot of these images. And obviously our wellness process is also there to help coach them through it as well.
Good. I know you've shared a lot of your expertise and your experiences with a lot of people. How have you seen what you share good and strong for people who are working on their mental and emotional health? We know about physical health and what you're doing, but I know mental health and physical health is involved all the time when it comes down to being at a gym.
Absolutely. One thing we've been able to develop a partnership with a very popular neurologist and neuroscientist, Dr. Randall Benson. He's one of our partners, and he's actually done a lot of work with the NFL. So we've worked with wounded warriors. We've worked with people who have struggled with different degenerating cognitive conditions, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. And I always tell people this, and what I really appreciate with what we talk about in Ambrose Academy, and I have to give a shout out actually to all the coaches on this call right now. All of you all, what I really found that I really appreciate, and I'm answering your question, Dr. Karen, is, AKA Mom, is that everyone has an appreciation for mental health. Everybody has an appreciation for the brain. When I train with Qigong, he's very, very careful in bringing a curriculum that teaches a very, very healthy development when it comes to self-defense, not taking a lot of hard bumps and really trying to foster a very healthy mental approach to combat. Coach Akio I've seen him talk so much about healthy training habits and also intervening even in sparring sessions so that fighters don't incur damage to the brain, and training alongside Jason, going to different MMA gyms. I just love his coaching style. And what's really cool is very similar to how Seagull teaches, as far as what we would call like live demonstrations. We're working on different techniques and very controlled application, which I really appreciated. And what I tell people is that if we're trying to improve mental health, we got to actually protect the organ, that's in our skull. And, damage to the brain negatively affects two different areas that we definitely had a lot of interest in: the hippocampus and the pituitary gland. One that affects memory and affects mood, and also our ability to learn, as well as part of our brain, the pituitary gland, that affects our metabolism, affects anxiety, depression. We have to really protect the brain and help the brain to stay healthy. And what we've been able to do at AM Total Being Fitness, powered by the Moses Method, is be able to create a program that not only helps people metabolically, but also puts the person metabolic in a state that positively impacts the brain, which is aerobic, in an aerobic state. And so this actually increases blood flow to the brain. And actually those who have incurred concussions and whatnot, we've been able to intervene. And actually Bryce and we've talked about this, even amongst other athletes, being able to reap the benefits of aerobic health, which a lot of that information is out there as far as brain health. Because a lot of people, depression, anxiety, a lot of these things do stem from brain injury, poor fitness, poor health. A lot of those things do affect those things.
Oh, that's good. That's very powerful. And I know for all of you, especially Coach Akio and Jason, Rocco, all of you have people that have to be careful with what's happening with their brain and their health and physical health, of course, because that can make a very big difference. Chris, I know I just want to end your portion right now with telling really briefly about the teenager that you had that came into the gym, such a powerful story, and how he was impacted by the time he left.
Yeah, so we've been able to create a relationship with the Michigan High School Athletics Association and working with the high school wrestlers. So typically when they start their wrestling season or they're going into their finals, they'll come into my facility, which is a very exclusive list of facilities, to provide them a DEXA scan, which DEXA means dual energy X-ray absorptiometry. So what that scan provides is a detailed scan of body composition, bone mineral density, and all of that. So the young man came in, and in high school, you can kind of hear a lot of the interaction with his friends and whatnot. And I would just say that there was a little bit of poor self-image that he had, but it was also amongst his friends. He really wasn't aware of how much muscle mass he actually had. This was a pretty stocky kid, very strong, and was doing great and wonderful things. So anywho, we did this DEXA scan, and it came out that this young man had close to 150 pounds of lean mass. Now, to put that in perspective, most adult males, you see that number amongst most adult males. And this was a major confidence booster for this young man. And he developed a very healthy perspective of his body and what he actually was capable of. And not only that, but the coaches were even interested in moving him up a weight class, as well as being a little bit more intensive in his training to help prepare him for collegiate level competition. So that was a major victory for us in using science to help to tear down a lot of personal stigmas that he had developed.
Yeah, I love that story. When I heard it, I said, that's the thing that all of you all can do, is changing and impacting someone's life. Well, Kristoffer, I thank you so much for being a part of our Second Chance Living live event, the first one. and your experiences are absolutely wonderful. We are going to just take a break and look at a promo for the Moses Method, and I'll be coming back to close this out. Thank you, Chris, and I do apologize. How should we contact you? How can our audience contact you?
You can actually contact me through our websites, www.mosesmethodfitness.com, as well as www.amt as in Tom, B as in boy, fit.com, and our facility contact number 248-480-0131.
Can you repeat the phone number, please?
248-480-0131.
Great. And what's really exciting is pretty soon you're going to have something that people can be a part of the gym literally from anywhere in the country, correct?
Yes. We're finishing up we're actually going to be entering into a beta testing phase of our fitness app. So everyone will be able to harness the power of our fitness system wherever you are.
Very good. Thank you again. So let's look at this promo and then we'll be right back to thank everybody and we'll be ending the show. Thank you. Well, again, we have had a wonderful show, and I appreciate all of you all being here. Second Chance Living with Dr. Karen, our first live event, and I've had some wonderful people speaking to us about different methods and different ideas and ways to improve and have a good, healthy life, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And one thing that is important to me is to always offer content that someone can look at that just is a part of everyday life and find out how people like them have had different things happen in their life, how they've moved up, how they improved, how they're become better. And even with the different things that you all have expressed, you have taken things to another level. So again, I want to thank you. And I want to ask a closing question, and I'm going to see who I'm going to pick on. Jason, since you are looking and your mic is unmuted, I leave the show asking someone, if someone gave you the gift of a second chance, how would you tell them, if you had an opportunity to give somebody a gift of a second chance, how would you tell them to use it?
It's a good question. I would say be smart and calculated with the approach, but I would say also not hold back with whatever you want to, go for it 100% and give it your best, give it your all, and whether you succeed or fail, you'll know that you gave it your all, you gave it your 100%. And we definitely learn through failure, and failure can turn into success.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great answer. Bryce, what's your answer?
Somebody was going to have a second chance. What would I tell
Yes.
them?
Yes.
If I could tell myself that,
Okay, great.
I would say Jesus. Jesus is the way.
Hey,
And yeah, that's what I get.
very good. Very good. Great answer. How about you, Coach Akio?
Uh, if somebody had a second chance, I would tell them, everybody don't get second chances like that. So I would just tell them to live life. Like they say, ride till the wheels fall off. Like we only get so much time here. So just enjoy it, do the best you can, and, take every lump that comes with it. Everything's good. So that's what I would say.
That's good. Okay, Mr. Kelly, since you're still with us and awake, how would
Yeah,
you answer the question?
my day's just getting started actually.
Is it? Okay,
I would say do it with full dedication and do it to honor God, and make sure that you would look back on it with a smile.
very good. Very good answer. Rocco Ambrose, how would you answer?
This time around, don't waste any time.
Very good. That's great. Don't waste any time. Make every moment matter is one of the things I say. How about you, Marcus?
First of all, give your life over to Christ. First and foremost, He's the way, the truth, and the life. So give your life over to Him. And then also, I would say through Him, just enjoy the small things. Enjoy the small things in your life. Like, don't get caught up in. It was a word in church today. To be patient, and patience don't mean just sit up there and do nothing, but to be patient, but to also be active. Like, everyone has their primary mission, and God gave you their primary mission to do. But if you be patient, you'll see the secondary missions, the small things you got to do while you're waiting. You'll forget that you're waiting. Those secondary things is what's setting you up for that big thing that you're waiting on. You know what I'm saying? So just love the little things that you have. Love the small things in life. Like, love if you got a woman you're in love. Like, if you got your family, friends, a coach, like love them in the small moments, because our life is like a vapor. So I would say get right with Christ, and through Him, just appreciate who's in your life, and then chase your dreams to the fullest. He gave them dreams for a reason.
Very good. Thank you. Kristoffer?
I love everyone's answer, and it's and I agree with them all. It's just, and in that agreement is prepare more, plan less. I think oftentimes when we try to create a whole lot of plans, we tend to waste a lot of time, and we're unprepared for them. And not only that, but we forget oftentimes that nature, the Lord, has the plan. Everything is laid out. We need to be prepared for what we're about to walk into. I think a lot of us here can vouch for that. We had no idea we would end up in this place, but prepare more, plan less.
Right. Very good answers. And I would say my personal mantra is every day you live is a second chance at life. And that mantra came totally from my life, my testimonial of my life, and being on drugs, being an alcoholic, just being and trying to raise children alone. I can tell everyone that there is a second chance when it's time. And now my story is my work. Now I'm a professional at what I do. I did radio and television, but now I'm a professional counselor. I'm a coach. I work with parents. And then in 2020, for some of you who do know, I literally lost my life, and I wasn't supposed to be here, but here we are. So leave with this, along with everything that you've said. Every day you live is a second chance at life. I thank all of you for being here. I have had so much fun texting you 20,422 times. I have sent you emails, and I will be in touch with you, but it's been so wonderful to have you here. And this is the first live event for Second Chance Living with Dr. Karen. We're going to close with some wonderful shots of the pictures that you all sent in. And until next time, everybody, thank you for being a part of our live event. And do remember that every day you live is a second chance at life. God bless you.